Where do you see the competency of clinicians eventually being affected when they can use too much from AI diagnostic tools?
इसमें नुकसान नहीं है. If you are improving your efficiency as well as diagnostic skill by being aided by AI, I don't think there's any harm in it, as long as there's an understanding of whatever information is coming out is actually correct and not an hallucination.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Dr. Mariam Yusuf, and today at Dental News Podcast, we have a very interesting personality with us. I'm very glad that we were able to get him on board. We have Dr. Fahad Umar, who is an assistant professor at Aga Khan University Hospital in Karachi. He is also the founder of Medentech, and he's also the founder of Meri Muskan, which is the teledentistry program. Dr. Fahad Umar, thank you so much for taking out the time for this. We're very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, Mariam. It's great to be here, and thank you for extending the invitation. I'm so very glad to meet you at a different position.
Definitely.
Yeah, we met before, but as a podcast host, this is our first time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to have some candid
Yeah.
conversations with you. So, sir, these are all the things that we know about you professionally. You work at Aga Khan, you're founder of many great things. But tell me a little bit about the initial years of your career, the part that nobody really knows.
Okay, so I graduated back in 2005, and this is now, when you really think about it, a long time ago, like 2 decades ago.
Where did you graduate from?
I graduated from Karachi Medical and Dental College.
Oh, you're a
Yeah,
KMDC
KMDC,
alumni.
yes.
Interesting.
So at that time, I believe we only had 3 dental colleges. One was Bakai, the other one was Fatma Jinnah,
Okay.
and then KMDC.
Okay.
Then
Okay.
later Altamash came in,
Mhm.
back in, this was in 2002 or 3 or something like that, when Altamash came. So yeah,
Did Dao not have his
I
BDS
don't
program then?
recall. I don't recall.
All right, because
Yeah.
I'm a graduate of Jinnah and our BDS program started in 2015, so that came about really late.
Like,
So what happened after graduation? We know that you did your residency from AKU. Tell us
yeah.
about
So
that.
after graduation, I was very, very keen and interested in going abroad, like everybody else,
Okay.
right? But circumstances इस तरह के थे कि I had to stay back. And when I was here, I wanted to know कि मुझे क्या करना है और क्या options है मेरे पास. And therefore, I went and spoke to a lot of people, and then I also spoke to one person known as Dr. Shahid Mitta.
Dr. Shahid?
Mitta.
Okay.
He Fatma Jinnah में होते थे. So somehow, I had developed a connection with him, and I went and met with him. And during our conversation, he said something which really stuck with me. उसने कहा था कराची में रहना है तो FCPS करना है.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. तो कराची में रहना है तो कुछ करना होता था, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में रहना है तो FCPS करना है.
Do you agree?
Yeah. At that time, I think it was a wise decision. I got in. I wanted to get into the topmost tier residency program that was out there.
Right.
And whilst we had the option to take up training in oral maxillofacial surgery at Abbasi, I wanted to see and explore if I can get out and see and challenge myself a little bit more. I wanted to get out of the comfort zone of KMDC at that time. So Aga Khan residency at Aga Khan came our way, and I applied for the program and got in. And at that point in time, a lot of our seniors who were staying back were also going to Aga Khan. So some made natural sense and was a natural choice to go there. Although at heart at that point in time, I wanted to be an oral surgeon, but I think at the end of the day, it was a wise choice to pursue operative dentistry at Aga Khan University.
Right. I was actually wondering because people who want to get into OMFS don't really want to consider another field. So I believe because it was an Aga Khan, it was so attractive that you chose even
So,
operative.
I think that's a great point that you make. When I was at Abbasi Shahid, got a whole year of working with different kind of oral surgeons, and did develop a sense of doing oral surgery. And then I also got into Riaz Varaichis program in Lahore. But
Okay.
somehow मुझे ये था कि मुझे आगा खान ही जाना है for some reason in Pakistan. And the closest choice that was to to oral maxillofacial surgery was operative dentistry.
अच्छा वैसे the thing that we have noticed about residents of Aga Khan is that they really stand out, and it is generally a discussion among um, academic people as well कि भाई अगर आपने Aga Khan से अपनी residency करी है, they really train you, like that's something that's unfortunately generally lacking in most FCPS programs across the country, is that you get in and you get a patient flow and you work every day, but there's no training necessarily that's happening in at least most of the FCPS programs. How would you shed light on Aga Khan ka FCPS program?
So for me, I can't talk about other programs because I don't have any experience of it.
Mm-hmm.
I did have some observations whilst I was there in KMDC, but then वो बहुत छोटा सा एक सैम्पल साइज है जिसके ऊपर मैं जनरलाइज नहीं कर सकता.
Mm-hmm.
But if I specifically talk about the residency at Aga Khan University, the benefit that we get is, since there's no undergraduate program, everybody's focused on the postgraduate program.
Sahi.
And
That's
the
interesting.
resident to supervisor ratio is very good. So when I was a resident, we had at that point in time 3 supervisors on the floor. And then we'd also have opportunity to learn passively from other supervisors. Like, for example, I always say this, I learn different kind of soft skills from different supervisors. And so therefore during my training it was an amalgamation of different clinical skill sets from all supervisors, as well as their skill sets of just picking up the phone and just introducing themselves or writing an email. So these are things that small things that you pick up. And so there's tremendous value of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So 3 supervisors over how many residents?
So the operative dentistry program had 8, and at that time we also had an orthodontic program going on that also had 8 residents. So ortho had 2 supervisors and our program had 3. We had a partial supervision from the prosthodontic faculty too. So we were supporting that program, and to a certain degree we were also supporting oral surgery program when we were resident, because we didn't have an oral surgery program. So जो मेरी थोड़ी सी interest in oral surgery था वो वहाँ से भी पूरा होता रहा आगा खान में.
Right. So by the time you finished your residency, that must have been in 2007?
No,
Because you
I started my residency in 2007.
Oh,
Not
okay,
that
okay.
old.
Sorry.
I at that point in time you could sit the exam after 3 years of training.
Okay.
But the residency at Aga Khan was 4 years.
Right. So you continued your journey with Aga Khan even after your residency.
Yeah.
How
So
did that
I
go?
graduated in 2011 and then joined as faculty member in 2012.
Right. And you were an assistant professor, associate professor to begin with?
No, so once you graduate, आपको सबसे जो छोटी पोजीशन होती है ना जो आगा खान में मिलती है एज अ practicing faculty, वो होती है senior instructor.
Senior instructor.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I joined as a senior instructor. इसमें उसके पास rights होते हैं to see patients on their own. उससे
Right.
नीचे होता है instructor, उसमें supervision में ही patients देखे जाते हैं. So I got in as a senior instructor at that point in time. And then you have to do a certain level of research or publications to graduate and become an assistant professor at that.
Right.
After
So
that.
you still do OPDs at Aga Khan?
I'm a full-time clinician.
At Aga Khan?
At Aga Khan
okay,
University
okay.
Hospital. So my main letter of expectation that comes from the university itself is I'm a clinician provider, meaning 80% of my work is it revolves around providing clinic service to patients.
Right. So now you are also kind of a supervisor to the residents that come in for the program. Is that correct?
You've always been a supervisor for
Ever
the
since you were a
residents.
senior
Yes,
supervisor.
yes. So
Right.
this process actually starts as a year 2. So when you become in year 2, you mentor your year ones, and then so on and so forth. Once you become faculty, you get certain other tasks to do. So 10% of my work would be some kind of an educational component, whereby we do journal club sessions or resident presentations. So formal teaching as well as informal teaching in terms of chair side teaching. So residents always get rotated with you when you're doing clinic service, and you supervising them too.
Right. So since you've been associated with the residency program for so long, you've been supervising the residents of Aga Khan for so long. I believe the residency program at AKU and Operative started in 2003.
Yeah.
And then just 4 years after you got into the program. So
4 years before.
It started in 2003, then you got in 2007,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
Right. So how would you say the residency program at AKU has evolved over all these years?
Okay, so there are bunch of things that changed over the course of years. So when we started, the the most tech thing that we had was the rotary instrument.
Acha.
ठीक है ना? So
It is still the most tech thing in many OPDs,
okay.
let me tell you
So
that.
this was back in 2005 or 6 that I came to Aachen the first time as a student who did some CME over there, and this is the time when I got overawed by the environment itself. ठीक है, and इसमें हमने रोटरी का एक वर्कशॉप किया था, and then when I came there we had rotary instruments, we had apex locators, which we thought was very cutting edge at that point in time. But over the years, in terms of training as well, things have evolved. At that point in time, we had certain degree of what independence in terms of patient care.
Right.
जब मरीज आता था तो हम उसको देख लेते थे, मरीज को इतना ज़्यादा ये नहीं था कि कंसल्टेंट कौन है और रेजिडेंट कौन है, वी जस्ट ट्रीट द पेशेंट.
सही.
But after we graduated, and some of my batchmates also graduated, or some of my seniors graduated, we thought that this has to be very, very supervised and very, very structured. So from 2012 to 2020, the program itself became really structured. There was a hierarchy that was established. We wanted to make sure that no patients were seen without faculty supervision. So in terms of supervision, we had to develop very strong sense of training the residents.
Right.
Likewise, in terms of research, हमने ये देखा कि 2011-12 के बाद we became a little bit more research focused. We used to do research, but it was like, okay, maybe 2-3 papers, you get a sense of research, but we formalized that into the program itself too.
Right. Is
In
it
terms of
compulsory for
yeah.
residents to do research?
So in terms of from compulsion standpoint, each resident is supposed to present 4 original researches
Okay.
during their 4 years of training. So that means you have to do something each year,
Each year.
right? So that's the minimum. And then you also have to go and present not only in local meetings but also in international meetings. It's mandatory.
What kind of international meetings?
So any kind of international meeting, whatever research you do, you're supposed to present. Right. So
does it have to be clinical research though?
It doesn't have to be clinical. It can be any kind of research as long as it's presentable, both locally as well as internationally.
Is it a compulsion from CPSP as well?
No, it's not a compulsion. It's a compulsion from our side.
Right. Interesting.
I think it gives you another flavor, or gives you another exposure of things that you can do. So in our grand rounds, what we used to do is we used to be Department of Surgery. That meant we would present our research to a hall full of maybe 500-600 people. And this would happen every Wednesday, and once each year you would have to do it. Right. Likewise, so this sense of presentation would give you a lot of confidence when you go and present it abroad, because उसमें 400-600 लोग आपकी बात सुनने के लिए नहीं खड़े होते. Maybe 20, 25 or 50 people at the most who would listen to you.
But they're actually interested in listening to you.
In listening to you. So I think from that point of view, things got a little bit more formalized in terms of research education.
Right.
And then we'd also encourage them to take either a monthly course, and then we've had residents who were also taken a 2 years research training as a Master of Clinical Researcher, or MSc EpiBio, which is called at this point in time at AKUH.
Right. So around 2011, 2012, when you're mentioning the research became kind of compulsory at the residency program at AKU, was this the time as well around which you got very inclined towards research?
No, actually not. Between 2012 and 2017, I just spent that time doing a clinic service and trying to also hone in my clinical skill sets.
Okay.
So this is the time when implants were becoming mainstream. And when we were residents, we had one faculty member doing implants, but we didn't get a lot of exposure. So I thought it would be a great idea to improve my domain of skill set and area of interest in clinical implant provision as well as service. So we did any course that would come our way, or locally or abroad, I would go and attend it. Right. So this happened between 2012 and 2015 or 16 or something like that. And by 2016, I thought, okay, मैंने implant में जितना सीखना था मैंने अच्छा खासा सीख लिया. Now I need to go back and learn some new skills. And
right.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Fahad, one thing that we know about you is that you were the first Pakistani to be trained as a microsurgeon. So when did that happen, and where did the motivation come from?
So immediately after 2016, when I realized that मैंने implant में जितना सीखना था, I've done that. I thought it'd be a good idea to do something in endodontics.
ठीक है.
But at the same time, I didn't want to do the same thing कि जी एंडोडोंटिक का कोई प्रोग्राम आप ज्वाइन करके उसमें कुछ ट्रेनिंग करके आ जाएं. We would do non-surgical root canal treatments or basic run of the mill root canal treatment. We were quite well versed in that. हम हर रोज कर रहे हैं और हमने हजारों की. So I was looking for things, and then I came across this program at University of Pennsylvania, which teaches microsurgical endodontics. So this was something really, really unique that was being offered over there, and it really also fit well with my career goals as well as how I was working. Because as a full-time faculty, I couldn't take 2 years off of my career and go back to school again. So this was great part-time program whereby you just have to go there once a month, stay the whole month, do the
Right.
didactic component there, and come and do the surgical components at home, and then go back and do. So it was a very intensive course in which I not only had to do the cases which were a requirement, like 50 non-surgical root canals, but also a couple of surgical root canals. I had to then present the cases to the faculty over there.
Right.
And once you pass that exam, somebody have to come to Pakistan and do your exam on clinical actual patients.
Oh.
So I then had to.
They don't let you do clinical patients over there, and
No,
you
so
spend.
you'd be assisting over there. You do the didactic component over there. You do your clinical part back home, present your cases, and based out of that presentation, if they say that you've attained that level of competencies, they send someone to Pakistan to do your exam.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, for somebody who's watching this podcast and doesn't know how microsurgical endodontics is different from conventional endodontics, how would you explain it?
So, all endodontics in the US is done under microscopes. Any kind of endodontic program that will take itself seriously, which is CODA recognized, they will not do any kind of endodontics without microscopes. अगर आप रबर डैम और माइक्रोस्कोप के बगैर बात करें तो वो रूट कनाल मानता ही नहीं उस चीज़ को इंटरनेशनली, राइट? सो पहले तो ये हमें एक डाइग्रेशन जाननी है. So once you learn those basic microscopy skills to do root canal treatments under microscopes, another value addition is if you have to do surgical endodontics. Surgical endodontics में ये होता है, especially if you're treating premolars and molars, वहाँ access का issue होता है, वहाँ illumination का issue होता है. And of course, these are when you're working on roots which are molars, premolars, very, very small roots. So you need magnification as well.
Right.
So microscopes provide that. So if somebody needs a molar surgery, lower molar, upper molar, you can't really do it just with loupes or by just your normal vision. So this is where the microscopes come in. There's a specialized skill set of not only working with the patients themselves, but also microsurgical instruments as well as the microscopes.
Right. So, do the residents at Aga Khan get to work with microscopes in their residency?
We have a microscope that lives in room number 11, and anyone can pull it out and use it if they need to.
Right. Achha, Dr. Fahad, jumping back to the topic of research a little bit, when you mentioned that it has been a compulsion for a while at least for the residents of AKU to do it, that reminds me that even the institute that I graduated from, it's a compulsion for residents to do their researches, at least in the Department of Operative Dentistry it is. So, and I'm sure that other institutions have taken up this practice as well, but I want to understand what your standpoint from being a clinician, what do you think is the importance of clinical researches, in the sense that do clinicians actually pull up PubMed key researches to find an answer to their question, and do they actually utilize those answers in their clinical practice? Do you think something like that happens?
I have thought about it, and it's a very profound question. Thank you for posing that. देखें, जो पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट ट्रेनिंग करता है ना, उसको एटलीस्ट रिसर्च मेथड का पता होना चाहिए, एविडेंस बेस का पता होना चाहिए. एंड अगर वो इन रियल लाइफ पुल अप नहीं करता तो वो उसकी थोड़ी सी फेलिंग है. अगर हमने उसको सिखाया ही नहीं था कि ये करना है तो ये हमारी फेलिंग है. एंड इफ यू टीच देम दिस, most likely they're going to utilize it as a tool.
When was the last time you found a very interesting or rather shocking answer from a research for a question that you were...
What do you mean interesting or shocking?
For example, something that you weren't hoping for the answer to be. A clinical question, perhaps, from researchers.
I'm not sure actually how.
But is it something that
exactly
you
where you
usually
coming
do?
from?
No,
So,
I'm trying to understand.
हाँ,
I'm trying to understand कि हम researchers करते हैं और हम as undergrads at least, I'm not an undergrad anymore, but back when I was an undergrad, हमारी सबसे ज़्यादा inclination होती थी कि हमें clinical research कर लें, हम lab में जाके काम कर लें. हमारी university बोलती थी कि funds नहीं है, etc. Labs भी नहीं है appropriate. But the reason why somebody like me would want to do a clinical research is for that research to eventually be an answer to a question that a clinician is looking for at some point during their career. But now that you have been not only associated with research for so long, you've been a clinician for so long, that too from a very esteemed institution of Pakistan. I want to understand कि ऐसा आपके साथ कितनी दफ़ा हुआ है?
Okay, so let me just answer this question in a different way.
Sure.
Any kind of healthcare intervention doesn't come about with just one paper. It will never happen like that.
सही है.
ये छोटे छोटे इंक्रीमेंट्स में होता है काम. सो रिसेंटली फॉर एग्जांपल पल्पोटमी के ऊपर वापस से ट्रेंड आ गया. Permanent tooth pulpotomies, right? And it's not something new. 70s 80s maybe people tried it, didn't work, then MTA came our way, and then अभी भी permanent tooth pulpotomy mainstream clinical dentistry में नहीं आई है. Although there's a lot of research papers out there which are talking about permanent tooth pulpotomies and their utility and the success rate that it delivers, right? So the transition from research or pure research to clinical practice takes a lot of time. वो usually clinical practice में तब चीज़ें आती हैं जब वो टेक्स्ट बुक्स में आ जाए और फिर वो फॉर्मली टॉट की जाए एट द अंडर ग्रेजुएट लेवल. या तो आप बहुत ज़्यादा फॉरवर्ड थिंकिंग हो और वो भी होता है, लोग पोस्ट ग्रेजुएट प्रोग्राम्स में इस तरह होता है. वी डू अ लॉट ऑफ पल्पोटमीज एट AKU. पेन में भी बहुत सारी चीज़ें हो रही होंगी और फनी चीज़ें भी कर रहे होते थे. पेन में जब मैं वहाँ जाता था, दे वुड डू अ पार्शियल पल्पोटमी ऑफ वन टूथ एंड पल्पेक्टमी ऑफ द अदर रूट. So yeah, इस तरह की चीज़ें they can try it at a educational institution, right? But realistically speaking, क्या ये mainstream research फौरन होती है? कभी भी नहीं होती. There is a transition that happens, and for that transition, the momentum has to be built up. So momentum build up किस तरह होगा? एक पेपर आया, then 4 people started talking about it, did some more clinical work around it, and then eventually it gets into the textbook and then formal training का हिस्सा बनता है.
So what kind of research topics usually interest you?
मुझे ना एंडोडोंटिक्स में रिसर्च का शौक है, and therefore I would read literature around that. So I've read classic literature from the 70s to date. From the time, yeah, I think it's very very important. Something that's not taught in our undergraduate program or postgraduate program is the classic literature. अगर आप 70s का लिटरेचर उठा के पढ़ेंगे तो आपको पता लगेगा कि जो आपने PAI इंडेक्स है ये कहाँ से निकला.
सही.
Right? Or what was the origin of the rigid file system and what or stainless steel files, and then what were the downsides of the stainless steel file where I've eventually matured into a NITI system, and then वो किसने बनाया था, वो लोग कौन थे. वैसे तो मैं उन सब लोगों से मिला भी हूँ, मुझे ये भी मौका मिला कि NITI जैसे डॉक्टर मार्टिन ट्रोप ने NITI इंट्रोड्यूस की.
Did you meet them at U of N?
Yes, so he was very kind enough to also ask me to come to his clinic. I had an opportunity to work with him for 1 week in his clinic as well.
That's incredible.
Yes, regenerative endodontics के जो बाबा हैं वो भी मार्टिन ट्रोप हैं. 2004 या 5 में उनका एक पेपर आया था, उन्होंने लोअर प्रीमोलर में regenerative end. हाँ, but yeah, you could say that regenerative paper was something very telling, क्योंकि उस पेपर में that was just a case report, and based out of that case report a lot of work was done around regenerative endodontics at that time, और वो अब mainstream procedure हो गया.
बिल्कुल.
We all believe in it.
अच्छा, Dr. Fahad, what do you think is the scope of intraoral scanners with endodontics? Do you think that they are something intraoral cameras? Sorry, not scanners.
Intraoral cameras in endodontics, I don't know. I haven't used intraoral cameras.
So there's this discussion that used to happen among the residents of my university and the undergrads as well. कि root canal is a very blind procedure. You don't exactly know where you're going. Like generally, even during an endoscopy or any medical procedure in which you're going inside a body cavity, there's a camera in front of you that's telling you where you're going, how far you're into, etc. And I believe it's only fair to have something like that for root canals as well. Do you agree?
So therefore, the the microscope argument comes in. In all endodontic program, you need to have a microscope. You can see what you're doing. And if you're doing that same thing, illumination, magnification with the help of an intraoral camera, it will help, but it's not the same as a microscope, because with intraoral cameras, it's actually a 2D rendition of what you're seeing. With the microscope, is three-dimensional. When you're looking it through the scope, you can actually work on the tooth itself.
Right.
Whereby, if you think about it from an intraoral camera perspective, पहले आप देखेंगे, फिर उसके बाद वापस blindly ही जाएंगे.
Right. Okay, so sir, let's talk a little bit about your own entrepreneurial projects, Midentech and Meri Muskan. So Midentech came about in March 2025, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then Meri Muskan came after that.
Yeah.
So can you tell what these programs are and a little bit about them?
So इसके बारे में बात करने से पहले ना हमें उससे 5 साल पहले की बात करनी पड़ेगी.
Okay, sure.
So COVID-19 came 2020.
Mm-hmm.
20 March या February में सब चीज़ें बंद हो गई थी, right? तो then we had like 4 months of not doing a lot. We were just doing emergency clinic service. That meant 5-6 दिन we just at home. So this is when my love for research was rekindled. Like I said, clinician from 2012 to 2020, I was just pure clinician. सुबह से शाम तक बस मरीज करते थे. So then I wrote a paper during that time, immediately got published in IEJ. तो मुझे लगा कि मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ research में. And then we did a bunch of
What was that paper on?
It's on role of respirators in prevention of COVID-19.
Okay.
So that was very it was the fastest publication that I have ever had.
Of course,
it was published in 1 week time at IEJ. IEJ is #1 journal in endodontics.
Right, of course.
So then I thought कि यार मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ, तो just write a little bit more, and started writing a little bit more around COVID. And this is the time that I came across a paper about AI and its use in oral pathology. And I thought it'd be interesting to find out if it has any utility in endodontics. So उसको मैंने पढ़ा. वो जब मैं पढ़ा तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आया. Is stuff about convolutional neural networks and all kind of funny things going on, and DICE indexes and F1 scores and whatnot. So but I was my interest had ignited. I was keen to understand a little bit more. So what I did was I started looking for stuff and content on YouTube about all of this, and I came across really nice lectures from MIT and Stanford. उसमें हमने सीखा कि ये CNN क्या होता है और वो कैसे चलता है और ये वो.
सही.
And whilst doing that research, I wrote a paper about the quantum of endodontic AI that was out there. So we found 8 or 9 papers that was done on that specific subject, and then we did something what is known as a scoping review. Scoping review is a kind of a review whereby you tell people कि ये इस domain में क्या चल रहा है.
सही.
और उसमें ऑपरेशनल डेफिनेशंस क्या हैं और पिछला रिसर्च क्या हुआ है और आप क्या ऐड कर सकते हैं.
Kind of like a summary of existing researches.
But very very formalized.
Right.
It's not like a narrative whereby you बस आपके जो ज़हन में आया वो अपने वो लिख दिया. So I did that review and it got published in JOE, Journal of Endodontics. So IJ कवर हो गया, JOE कवर हो गया, फिर मुझे लगा कि मैं रिसर्च कर सकता हूँ.
All right.
Right. And so we wanted to move away from just doing reviews. We want to build something.
Right.
So then I had that conversation with one of my resident, Dr. Neha Adnan, and she had joined as a year 1 resident. I said, if you want to do research, your interest has to align with my interest. Otherwise, वो आप जो research कर रही होंगे उसमें मेरी input आपके साथ ज़्यादा valuable नहीं होगी.
बिल्कुल makes sense.
And then this is how we started doing that work. The first thing we wanted to do is we thought it'll be very useful कि हम OPG के ऊपर काम करें. क्योंकि OPG is the most widely done diagnostic modality radiology based. अभी ChatGPT वगैरह नहीं आए थे.
अच्छा,
वो
हाँ,
2
सही.
साल दूर हैं अभी. हम वहाँ से ना नवंबर 2022 में ChatGPT आया था, तो उससे पहले हम इस पे काम कर रहे थे. So we thought कि okay, ये एक्सरे को ऑटोमेट कैसे करेंगे हमें सीखना है.
सही है.
So we had to learn how to first annotate those x-rays. Annotate का मतलब होता है कि for a computer vision model to understand what's going on in that x-ray, somebody has to
Add comments.
delineate that specific area that they want the computer vision model to look at, and then label it कि वो क्या चीज़ होती है.
Right.
And so the first thing that we wanted to do is कि OPG में सबसे major finding है teeth. So can an AI detect teeth in an OPG X-ray? So that was our first project that we did together, and this got published in International Journal of Computerized Dentistry. And
Which
then
year was this?
this was, I think, 2021 or 22. 21 we started work on it, 2020 or 2021, and then got published around 21, 22 or something like
Right,
that. But it
okay.
does take a long time to get published.
So the idea of AI being able to like contribute to healthcare and diagnostics was pretty nascent at that
It
time.
was nascent. People were doing this work. I think there was a gentleman known as Silva who was doing this in Brazil. Other people were doing it elsewhere, and we did use some of their data sets to train our AI, but we had to do it ourselves.
Right.
Another learning that happened during that time was at that point in time we didn't have any fundings.
Right.
So what we'd have to work with was students from computer sciences who would be willing to
course.
contribute to that project, but the downside was कि वो बहुत ज़्यादा fickle होते थे. 1 से 2 महीने काम किया, 3 महीने काम किया, चले जाते थे. Gen Z
Right.
problem भी है.
बिल्कुल. Or as the project would have
Yeah.
evolved, you
Yeah.
would need more time and more
Yeah.
investment.
So initially it was just like, okay, pure research, no investment, and just trying to figure this out on our own, and then we'd lose someone and then try to do it. Then I thought, okay, मैं खुद भी सीखता हूँ. This was summer of 2022. Lost 2 months just trying to figure out how to train AI models on my own, because I'm not trained on it. So what I used to do is कि अच्छा इसमें किस तरह की चीज़ें चलती हैं, गूगल कोलैब क्या होता है, इससे हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा.
सही.
वो जो लर्निंग प्रोसेस थी जिसमें हमने एटलीस्ट experience gain कर लिया कि चीज़ें
Where did
कैसे
you
होती
learn
हैं.
all these things from? Were they free resources over
YouTube,
internet?
yes. So I would do YouTube and
Sahi.
then look for any courses or lectures online and download resources which are free to use and try to use that and
Right.
train something.
So, sir, while you were training your AI model, or at least learning how to train your AI model, where were you getting the data set from?
So हमारे लिए data set लेना मुश्किल काम नहीं था, because we're in AKU, all our data
OPT.
all our data sets are over there and they easy to access.
Right.
But of course we look after things like ERC, DTAs, etc. जो कि हमें उसके लिए करना होता था, and we would do it as part of our research. So we do it step by step, baby step approach. Like I said before, हम grand rounds करते थे, तो grand rounds के लिए resident को बोला आपका year 1 project is just to do teeth identification, and then we do the whole process in a formal way.
Sahi.
And then train a model, present that in the grand round.
Right.
इस तरह करके.
Acha, I've always wondered what is the process between receiving data and then putting it into the AI model for it to get trained, because I'm sure there must be some
multi-step
filters,
process.
right?
Okay, so you have to receive data, then you have to clean the data, they have to curate the data. It's a full-time job. And then
What does it mean to curate the
clean
data?
means that you want to look for, okay, which data you want to feed the AI with, in terms of
Sahi.
are they
हर
good
चीज़ तो नहीं
quality
डाल देंगे.
radiographs, or you putting garbage in, right? And
Right.
then once you have, okay, ये हमारा data हो गया, then the other step is to annotate that data. So some subject matter specialists have to actually label what they want the AI to look at. And then you would have other experienced dentists looking at that annotations again, making sure the whatever you're training the AI with is solid. इसको reference standard बोलते हैं. And then
Sahi.
you usually end up with 2 files, one with the raw image itself and another usually a JSON file which has coordinates of the labels in that specific file set, और वो AI उसको जोड़ के ढूंढती है कि वो चीज़ कहाँ पर है और उस पर ट्रेन होती है.
Right. So let's say कि for a project like being able to find teeth on an OPG would take how big of a data set for the AI to be trained?
So initially we trained it on 300 OPGs.
सही है.
So, but it's not that easy if you want to label one OPG in terms of just delineating the teeth that were there.
Right.
It takes up 45 minutes to 1 hour of solid time.
I have a question. So you said that most of the data set you were receiving from the OPDs of AKU, is that correct? So how did you ensure variety in your data, considering that only a specific socioeconomic background people come to
It's
AKU?
not necessarily a specific socio-economic background problem. It's a machine problem, because all the data was coming from a same machine.
अच्छा, हाँ, true,
So
absolutely.
we used different data sets from other sources, such as मैंने आपसे बताया कि सिल्वा का data set था और लोगों के data set, TrueSoft का data set था, उनसे हमने चीज़ों को mix करके किया. But yes, one can say, okay, 300 के ऊपर आपकी generalizability बहुत अच्छी नहीं होती है, and नहीं होती.
Right. Okay.
never claimed it कि generalizable होगा.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Right.
So this was only from a research
Yeah.
point of view.
Yeah.
So then how did the motivation to create Medentech came?
So फिर 4 साल गुजर गए
Research करते करते.
रिसर्च करते करते
And you kept changing the projects के OPG से फिर.
we kept improving on the projects and
सही.
during that time we also thought that now is a value to apply for extramural funding
Okay.
and एक चीज़ जो मेरा एक और पेट प्रोजेक्ट था जो हमने एफडीआई के लिए किया वो ये था कि वी ऑल नो दिस कि डीएमएफटी इंडेक्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट स्कोरिंग सिस्टम है जिसमें हमें डिजीज़ का पता लगता है एटलीस्ट डिजीज़ प्रेवलेंस क्या है. पाकिस्तान में डिजीज़ प्रेवलेंस पता ही नहीं ओरल डिजीज़ की और अगर कुछ है भी तो वो कराची या लाहौर में हुआ हुआ है तो उसकी कोई वैल्यू नहीं.
बिल्कुल.
सो आई थॉट वोंट इट बी यूजफुल कि अगर ये जो लेडी हेल्थ वर्कर और पोलियो हेल्थ वर्कर्स जो पूरी कम्युनिटीज़ में ऑलरेडी स्प्रेड हैं इनके पास अगर कोई एक एप्लीकेशन हो जिसमें वो सिर्फ तस्वीरें खींचें और तस्वीरों की बेस पे एक कोई डैशबोर्ड हो जो खुद ऑटो पॉपुलेट हो जाए उससे हमें पता लग जाए कि उस इलाके की में एटलीस्ट ओरल डिजीज़ या डेंटल केरीज की प्रेवलेंस कितनी है ताकि पब्लिक हेल्थ लेवल पे तो कोई इंटरवेंशन हो पाए.
Right.
इसमें रिसोर्स कम लगेगी बिकॉज यू जस्ट ट्रेन देम हाउ टू यूज दैट कैमरा मोबाइल फोन एंड गिव देम अ कैमरा मोबाइल फोन. ह्यूमन रिसोर्स कोई और लगनी नहीं है. तो मुझे ये एक जहन में आइडिया था और इसी के बेस पे हमने एक ग्रांट लिखी जो हमने एफडीआई में जमा कराई एंड वी वर एबल टू गेट दैट ग्रांट एंड वो हमने फॉर्मलाइज करा उसको और फिर उसको मैच्योर किया और हम थर पार्कर में हमने ये एक डिप्लॉयमेंट की. दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट डिप्लॉयमेंट ऑफ एआई बेस्ड एप्लीकेशन आई वांट टू से इन आवर पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इफ नॉट द वर्ल्ड.
Right.
डेंटिस्ट्री बेस्ड.
Was this last year as well?
लास्ट ईयर ही किया था ये हमने फिनिश सितंबर में किया है लास्ट ईयर. प्रोजेक्ट इसका राइट अप हो गया या पब्लिकेशन के लिए गया हुआ है.
Interesting. So how were you able to train the people over there in Thar Parker to be able to use?
A new interesting learning experience. इसमें बहुत सारी चीज़ें थी जो पेपर में हमने लिखी भी हैं बट आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर देम. नंबर 1 वाज कि वहाँ पे देयर इज अ बिग इशू ऑफ इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी एज वेल एज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to make sure that whatever AI we send out there वो रियल टाइम इन्फ्रेंस दे. सो हमें बहुत किस्म के मॉडल्स होते हैं लेकिन हमने एक ऐसा मॉडल चूज़ किया जो कि एक छोटा मॉडल था जिसकी हो सकता है कि इन्फ्रेंस एबिलिटी बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग ना हो लेकिन वो आपके मोबाइल फ़ोन पे ही चल जाता है जिसको बहुत ज़्यादा कंप्यूटेशनली इंटेंसिव नहीं था वो.
ठीक है.
तो हमने वो किया. उसमें एक और चीज़ जो हमने एक इंटरेस्टिंग की वो ये कि जब तस्वीरें लेके इन्फ्रेंस एआई ले लेती थी तो वो सेव हो जाती थी कंप्यूटर उन्हीं के लैपटॉप पे या आई मीन फ़ोन पे एंड देन एज सून एज दे गेट इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी वो अपलोड हो जाता था गूगल ड्राइव पे. ये सब ऑटोमेटेड था बैक एंड पे. ठीक है. तो हमें
लाइक अ व्हाट्सएप मैसेज.
या सो हमने कोई स्पेसिफिकली ट्रेन किसी को नहीं किया कि ये किस तरह यूज़ करना है. वी जस्ट ट्रेन देम हाउ टू डू द इमेजेस.
राइट. हाउ टू टेक पिक्चर्स. राइट.
और वो हमने एक AU में बुला के डेंटिस्ट को ट्रेन किया था और उन डेंटिस्ट ने उस AI के साथ काम किया. वो अपना हमें देते थे आउटपुट और ये जो डेंटिस्ट हैं इनकी आउटपुट और AI की आउटपुट को हम मैच करके देखते थे कि क्या चीज़ बेहतर है और हर 2 हफ्ते में एक नया मॉडल भेजते थे क्योंकि पहली दफ़ा जब हमने मॉडल भेजा तो वो मॉडल हमने सिर्फ लैब टेस्टेड था.
सही.
तो वो जो लैब टेस्टेड मॉडल था वो भी एक पब्लिश हो चुका है पेपर साइंटिफिक रिपोर्ट्स में. उसमें बहुत अच्छे रिजल्ट्स थे लैब में लेकिन
अच्छे से मुराद वेरी सिमिलर टू व्हाट डेंटिस्ट्स कंक्लूडेड
लैब में थे.
अच्छा. सही.
जब हमने डिप्लॉयमेंट में भेजा तो हमने देखा कि वो तो रैंडम गैस कर रहा था 50-something%. राइट.
ठीक है.
So what we did was we said okay every 2 weeks we will get all the data, annotate all the data and जो भी डेंटिस्ट का डेटा होगा जो AI का डेटा होगा और हमारे अपने कुछ डेंटिस्ट बैठेंगे जो कि इसको वर्चुअली एनोटेट करेंगे दोबारा और नया मॉडल पुश करेंगे.
ठीक है.
So every 2 weeks we'll be pushing a newer model. And then what we saw was gradually the model was improving. And then now we finished at a plateau whereby the model was doing something around 85 to 86% accuracy, which is, if you look at literature, is better than a general dentist.
Right. And what diseases is this model able to
tell? No, so we're looking for dental caries for now only.
Right. Any extent of dental caries, even if it's pits and fissures.
Pits and fissures, class 1, of course, class 2 जिसमें bomb out हो वो पता लग रही थी लेकिन जो एक्सरे में नजर आएंगी तो एक्सरे तो नहीं है. दिस इज अ क्लिनिकल बेस्ड मॉडल.
Right. So would it be safe to say कि अच्छा पहले I want to understand like I want to explain what I understood how Medentech exactly works. So it's an application in which once you have put in data, which is images of the oral cavity, it is able to
Medentech has a platform which has an application.
right, it has a platform that has an application,
Yeah.
and as soon as it receives the images, the AI model is able to basically label out that
Yeah,
image and
yeah,
tell how many
yeah. So
cavities
we
are there
have two
inside.
models.
ठीक है.
One model is an radiology model जो OPG based है, and it is actually the most robust model जिसके बारे में लोगों को ज़्यादा नहीं पता. हमने उस पे काम इसलिए बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं किया या नहीं कर पाए बिकॉज रेडियोलॉजी की जो डोमेन है ना वो इट्स प्रीटी वेल कवर्ड बाय मेन स्ट्रीम AI कंपनीज लाइक ओवरजेट एक्सेट्रा.
सही.
सो जो रूम या स्पेस हमें नज़र आई थी वो क्लिनिकल उसमें आई थी फोटोग्राफ में, तो हम उस पर ज़्यादा काम करें. ऑल दो आई थिंक कि हमारा रेडियोलॉजी का मॉडल भी बहुत रोबस्ट है OPG वाला.
Right. Where do you see Medentech in 5 years from now?
Medentech is going to be one of the biggest oral healthcare AI-based tech company coming out of Pakistan. Will be internationally well known, inshallah.
Inshallah, definitely. Tell us a little bit about Meri Muskan as well. It's a teledentistry program. What exactly do you do with Meri Muskan?
Okay, so when we launched Medentech's website, we thought कि यार ये हमने जो AI बनाई है इसका किसी को फायदा होना चाहिए. So we put up AI-based tools, and we said okay, if their public will use it.
ठीक है.
Right. But then we thought that there was a barrier for public to keep, because आपने उसको
Clinician
inform
और
करना है, आपने उसको बताना है, and then how do you complete that care loop? अगर किसी को आप बता दें आपके मुंह में डिजीज है तो उसकी एंग्जाइटी बढ़ा रहे हैं या आप उसकी कोई हेल्प कर रहे हैं.
सही.
So therefore हमने कहा okay, let's add an additional platform to it, which was okay, if you get a diagnosis you can seek help from our teledentist,
सही.
and then they can at least advise you on medication or preventive care, etc. So this is how it began, and then it's formalized into something a little bit more mature, because through this platform, although it's not very old, 3-4 महीने ही हुए हमें, we were able to reach out to 380 something people.
Because I was looking at the reviews of Meri Muskan, and people even got their ortho consultations done
जी,
through it, which is
जी.
not exactly an emergency, but the fact that
जी, actually अब people will get what they want, and what we notice that a lot of people are more interested in orthodontic consultations,
of course,
right? And so उसमें हमने फिर ये देखा कि रिमोट तरीके से ऑर्थोडोंटिक केयर कैसे दी जा सकती है. एंड आई थिंक विद ऑर्थोडोंटिक्स वी आर at a place where something is going to change. People are moving away from traditional even
conventional
orthodontists are moving away from
exactly.
traditional
Aligners are the new.
aligners. And for these aligners, you don't have to revisit the orthodontist every 3 weeks,
Right.
which is a big issue or a bottleneck for orthodontic treatment.
Exactly.
Orthodontic treatment protracted भी इसी वजह से हो जाती है कि people cannot come for their 3 week, they come back in 3 months, तो वो चल ही नहीं रहा है, treatment activate ही नहीं हो रहा. So we thought that this is a great platform and this is a great service that can be provided to people who can utilize this, and they are under care of orthodontists. ऐसा नहीं है कि just anyone can start prescribing clear aligners. If you really benefit from a clear aligner, then you will get a clear aligner.
Right.
So the orthodontists make that decision. So all our orthodontic consultations actually go to a FCPS trained orthodontist.
I was actually going to ask, how many dentists do you have enrolled in this Meri Muskan platform?
So thank you. We have a few dentists from different dental clinics who help us out. We started off first with the dental studio. The reason was okay, हमने एक ही लोगों को reach out किया, and they had a few branches around, so it was easy for us. But now we've onboarded a couple of other dentists from different dental clinics, especially from different remote areas. So another thing that we found is a lot of consultations coming out from areas like Multan. Multan is a city. वहाँ पर फिर भी लोग ढूंढ रहे हैं कि they want to get to a dentist. कराची से हमें कम आ रहा है. मुल्तान, सांगड़, and I don't want to say they are remote areas. They उधर कोई ना कोई dental care या dental care providers हैं, but a lot of teleconsultations actually come out from there, and therefore we're trying to reach out to dentists there. And we're also making sure कि सिर्फ dentists हम provide नहीं करें. We want to make sure that these dentists are trained to do the service that they are supposed to do.
Right.
Likewise, the clinics are safe and clean.
Right. So, after the online consultation, even if the patient wants to visit the clinician that they've been consulting with, that's something that would be possible too. Do you
Yeah,
connect them?
yeah, we connect
Hmm.
them, and then if they would like to go to seek actual care, they can go there.
Right. Interesting.
So we serve as a platform or a bridge whereby trust is being developed between a provider as well as a care seeker.
राइट अच्छा गोइंग बैक अ लिटिल बिट ऑन दिस सो ये वही पेशेंट्स हैं जिन्होंने अपनी डायग्नोसिस भी इसी एआई मॉडल के ऊपर देखी थी टू बिगिन विद इज दैट
So
करेक्ट
it doesn't always happen like that.
सही
We
है
want to so initially इसी तरह हमने सोचा था कि लोग पहले डायग्नोसिस करेंगे एआई के थ्रू और फिर वो प्लेटफॉर्म पे आएंगे. वी फाउंड कि इट वाज वेरी चैलेंजिंग फॉर पीपल. ऑथेंटिकेशन कर रहे हैं, लॉग इन कर रहे हैं, फिर उसके बाद तस्वीरें खींच रहे हैं, वो तस्वीर अच्छी क्वालिटी की है नहीं है, ये
सही
नहीं है, वो नहीं है. So then we thought कि okay, if somebody wants quick care
हम्म
and they want some person to see them, we just add a WhatsApp button.
हम्म
And we added a WhatsApp button on the website, and we we saw कि एकदम jump up हो गई हमारी consultations.
अच्छा
So
हम्म
हमारे यहाँ ना थोड़ा issue है because it's we want to make things simple for the population who using these
बिल्कुल
digital interventions.
बिल्कुल डेफिनेटली अच्छा सर आपने शुरू में मेंशन किया था कि पेशेंट कन्वीनियंस तो एक मोटिवेशन थी ही लेकिन डेटा कंपाइलेशन भी एक मोटिवेशन थी व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड मेडेंटिक के देयर शुड बी लाइक क्या बोल सकते हैं इन्वेंट्री वेयर यू नो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ डिजीजेस आर प्रेवलेंट इन अ सर्टेन एरिया व्हिच इज़ व्हाई यू डिसाइडेड टू वर्क विद जैसे जो पोलियो की टीम थी दे वर गोइंग इन सर्टेन एरियाज सो वर यू able to get data in that sense as well कि हमारे पास इस एरिया में इस
जी.
डेमोग्राफिक में इस तरह का रिजल्ट आ गए
Yeah.
हैं in terms of
Yeah.
oral health and were you able to then like communicate this data to any authorities?
So this going to be part of the publication. We
हम्म
have data on specifically मिट्टी in थरपारकर area कि वहाँ पे disease prevalence कितनी है. उसमें हमें एक और नई चीज़ पता लगी कि वहाँ पे tobacco chewing बहुत ज़्यादा है. Everybody,
सही
even kids are doing tobacco. तो हमने एक और prototype बनाया which is a screening tool जो कैंसर के different levels पे उसको screen करता है. It stratifies cancer into low risk, medium risk and high risk, and we're looking for funding to help us with that project and that deployment.
right is the government of Pakistan has ever contributed to any of the funding so far or have you reached out to them at least?
अ, देखिए थोड़ा-सा हमारी तरफ से भी एफर्ट नहीं हुआ इतना ज़्यादा गवर्नमेंट ऑफ पाकिस्तान की तरफ.
हम्म
I think once this matures into a publication, we'll have something more tangible to show them.
हम्म
But yes, but the focus of government of Pakistan may not be towards oral health care. ये दुनिया भर में ही ऐसा है कि oral health के ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस नहीं है.
हम्म
अभी चीज़ें चेंज हो रही हैं. सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट गोल का हिस्सा भी नहीं थे, अभी वो बनाया है. ओरल हेल्थ को यूनिवर्सल हेल्थ कवरेज का भी हिस्सा बना रहे हैं. तो ये चीज़ें गोना हेल्प. बट ओरल हेल्थ पे लोगों को उजागर करना थोड़ा-सा मुश्किल काम
हम्म
होता है. ओरल कैंसर पे आसान होता है, लोगों को बोले ओ कैंसर कैंसर तो दे टेंड टू टेक देयर वॉलेट्स आउट मोर देन एज़ अपोज्ड टू ओके डेंटल केयरीज.
राइट अच्छा सिंस we're on the topic मैं आपका एक जनरल कमेंट लेना चाह रही हूँ on the utilization of artificial intelligence by general public to get their health issues sorted. So one problem that not just dentists but any healthcare professional usually has is कि patients अपने symptom गूगल करके आ जाते हैं ये
हुँ,
AI से थोड़ा सा पहले की बात है
हुँ,
गूगल करके आ जाते हैं और फिर आधे डॉक्टर बन के आ जाते हैं एंड
हुँ.
देन और चलें डॉक्टर के पास आ जाएं तो दैट्स नॉट अ प्रॉब्लम लेकिन वो सेल्फ मेडिकेशन शुरू कर देते हैं. Do you think this is a drawback that comes with being able to utilize AI for your healthcare issues?
आई थिंक जो करंट एआई है वो उसमें गार्डरेल्स हैं ऑलरेडी व्हिच
Hmm.
व्हिच प्रिवेंट पीपल टू हैव अ पर्सनलाइज्ड प्रिस्क्रिप्शन. अगर आप दवाइयों की
Okay.
बात करें. बट आई थिंक देयर इज़ वैल्यू ऑफ दिस एआई टू whereby the people can understand the extent of their disease
Hmm.
and किस तरह वो उसको बेहतर तरीके से मैनेज कर सकते हैं. एंड therefore फ्रॉम अ क्लिनिशियन एंड प्रोवाइडर पर्सपेक्टिव भी एक वैल्यू है कि अगर पेशेंट अंडरस्टैंड करता है अपनी डिजीज़ को और डिजीज़ प्रोसेस को, द एक्सेप्टेंस ऑफ ट्रीटमेंट प्लान्स विल ऑल्सो इम्प्रूव.
Right. That's an interesting point that you make. कि एक तो अपनी ही डिजीज को अंडरस्टैंड करना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आई वॉज एक्चुअली वॉचिंग द रिव्यू ऑफ चैट जीपीटी की जो अब हेल्थ साइड इंट्रोड्यूस होने वाली है. Apparently there's a waiting list for it. I even signed myself up. I'm not sure how am I going to use it. But anyway, so they explained in the reviews, there were people talking about how they have really little time with the clinicians when they visit them, and clinicians often aren't really able to answer all the questions properly. They write a prescription and they send you home, but they don't tell you what caused this, how can you prevent this in the future, etc. Or some of them do, but usually it's a very brief conversation. So in that sense, I believe it's appropriate to use AI to understand your current condition better. But जो आप guard rails की बात कर रहे हैं, I want to get into that a little bit. So even today, if I do just a little bit of soft jailbreaking, जिसको कहते हैं, I'm able to put the guardrails down and like get a prescription for myself. So what do you have to say about that?
I agree, and these are things that need to be looked at. I think another thing that has also happened recently is कि FDA ने अपनी compliance के जो structures हैं उनको भी थोड़ा soft कर दिया है as soon as this was launched.
सही
So
है.
probably a lot of lobbying has happened at the back end too, whereby these healthcare apps which are powered by some kind of an AI are able to provide healthcare advice. But
Right.
from jailbreaking point of view, if you are shrewd enough and you know how to manipulate the AI, you can do it and get good answers out of it. आप जिस तरह की भी मीनिंगफुल इंफॉर्मेशन निकालना चाहें निकलवा सकते हैं. इसमें दिस इज़ एन एरिया ऑफ फ्यूचर रिसर्च जिसके अंदर हमें फ्रॉम अ हेल्थ केयर परस्पेक्टिव देखना है कि एक पेशेंट जिसकी एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग है जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा फोकस नहीं है इन साइंस, उसको हम किस तरह मीनिंगफुल इन्फॉर्मेशन दे सकते हैं जो उसके लिए ओवरवेल्म भी ना करे और उसको हार्म से भी प्रिवेंट करे.
Right. Acha, so this was patient perspective, but from a clinician perspective, do you see a future specifically in Pakistan and like big cities like Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, where majority dental practices would have some AI diagnostic tool at their practice?
I think there will be value of adaptation. It will certainly, like I said, not only make the clinical task provision, diagnostic processes more efficient, but like I said before, acceptance of treatment plans from patient side will also become better. Because अगर आपने किसी को AI generated image दिखाई कि ये देखें आपके मुंह में ये डिके है, AI ने डिटेक्ट किया है और ये पिक्चर में भी नज़र आ रहा है, ये एक्सरे में भी नज़र आ रहा है, उसमें उनको देयर विल बी अ सर्टेन सेंस ऑफ ये एक अनपार्टिसन मुझे डायग्नोसिस मिल रहा है. ये नहीं हो रहा कि मुझे डेंटिस्ट ओवर ट्रीट तो नहीं करना चाह रहा.
सही है.
इस तरह की चीज़ें भी जो है ना वो मिटिगेट होंगी तो उसकी
सही.
वैल्यू नज़र आएगी हमें.
So it's like getting a lab report. You know how
Yeah.
patients tend to like trust it more when they
Yes.
see it on paper.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Acha, one thing that I've been thinking for some time is that, for example, when ChatGPT was able to answer questions after 2022, even clinicians were kind of overusing it to get their answers from at least undergrads or like young clinicians were. So where do you see the competency of clinicians eventually being affected when they can use too much from AI diagnostic tools?
I think from a perspective of cognitive offloading, whereby अगर आपको ड्रग की प्रिस्क्रिप्शन याद करनी है, उसकी डोजेज याद करनी है, वो अगर आप AI से पुल अप कर लेते हैं तो कोई उसमें नुकसान नहीं है. And if you are improving your efficiency as well as diagnostic skill by being aided by AI, I don't think there's any harm in it, as long as there's an understanding of whatever information is coming out is actually correct and not an hallucination.
Okay, if I were to ask you what are some SOPs that a healthcare practice should adopt with respect to utilizing AI diagnostic tools for their clinicians, what would those be?
Right. So again, that's a great question. I think from a deployment perspective into actual healthcare बहुत कम वर्क हुआ हुआ है. जितना भी AI हमारे पास आया है वो ज़्यादातर जनरल पर्पस टास्क के लिए हुआ है और हेल्थ केयर में नहीं हुआ हुआ. जब हम हेल्थ केयर में कोई भी चीज़ को डिप्लॉय करते हैं तो हमें उसको बहुत ज़्यादा थॉटफुली देखना होता है कि उससे नुकसान ना हो. वन थिंग वुड बी कि हमने जितनी भी AI जनरेटेड रिपोर्ट्स या AI जनरेटेड प्रिस्क्रिप्शंस होंगी उनको बहुत अच्छे से ऑडिट करना होगा और ऑडिट ट्रायल्स रन करने होंगे. और जहाँ पर भी कोई प्रॉब्लम आए उसको ट्रांसपेरेंसी के साथ रिपोर्ट करना होगा. And we also look for things like biases. For example, a lot of AI that has been trained on records that are not local but are international. So
Right.
does that AI generalize well in our part of the world? We don't know that yet. And therefore, from an adaptation perspective, when you're like adapting something in Pakistan, you want to make sure कि वो contextualize कर रहा है उस डेटा को, और जो एडवाइस दे रहा है वो context specific है कि नहीं है. इस
सही.
तरह की बहुत सारी चीज़ें हैं जो कि nuanced हैं. उनके ऊपर हमें बात करनी चाहिए और हमें और सोचना चाहिए.
राइट. आपने जो कॉग्निटिव ऑफलोडिंग की बात करी ना, दैट साउंड्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग, बिकॉज फॉर एग्जांपल नाउ दैट वी आर एबल टू यूज कैलकुलेटर, इवेंचुअली इट माइट बिकम समथिंग लाइक दिस एज वेल,
Yeah.
कि मैं क्यों बैठ के इतनी लंबी
मैथ करूँ
कैलकुलेशन अपनी जहन में
या
करूँ,
मैं
एंड आई
लोगों
कैन
के
जस्ट,
फ़ोन नंबर याद करूँ.
या मैं लोगों के फोन नंबर याद करूँ, बिकॉज दिस
हाँ.
एक्चुअली यूज्ड टू बी अ थिंग.
Yeah.
सो द unnecessary part of probably
Hmm.
becoming a doctor,
Yeah.
like unnecessary as in things that you can delegate to perhaps a computer
Yeah.
that will do faster than you. So what are some examples? एक तो आपने ड्रग डोजेज की बात करी. अब अगर फॉर एग्जांपल हम बात करें एक AI ट्रेन मॉडल की जिसमें बहुत incredible data set है, तो तो the AI model is able to differentiate, like जो definitive diagnosis वो बनाएगा वो बहुत अच्छी बनाएगा, आपकी differential से तो बेहतर बनाएगा. So but then do you think that they would still not be that would still kind of discourage a doctor to know more things on their own, considering that they can just put it up on the computer in their model and the model will give them an answer कि अच्छा ये 5,000 diseases हैं जो मुझे पता है, इनमें से ये 6 हैं जो मैं narrow down कर देता हूँ. तो
लेकिन
क्या वो डॉक्टर
at
उन
the end of the
5,000?
day that doctor has to distill that information and make the diagnosis, because at the end of the day डॉक्टर के नाम पे वो diagnosis जाएगा, AI के नाम पे नहीं जाएगा. अभी जहाँ हम खड़े हैं, हाँ, हो सकता है कि maybe 5-10 years down the line people might say, okay, you know what, don't have to delegate medicine to doctors. We can do it with AI, and then after that maybe if some kind of a intervention is required, वो dentist कर ले.
अच्छा चलिए उनके नाम से जाएगा, श्योर, बट आई एम ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट यू थिंक इज द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ ह्यूमन माइंड इन डायग्नोसिंग, अगर एक बहुत वेल एस्टैब्लिश AI मॉडल क्रिएट किया जा ही सकता है तो.
Maybe it's not important anymore. We'll see. That remains to be seen. And we also remains to be seen कि AI जो अभी है उसमें actual reasoning capabilities भी हैं, या वो सिर्फ rote learning करके output दे रहा है.
राइट.
Because some of our recent work that we've been doing and around jailbreaking etc, उसमें हमने कुछ काम किया था जिसमें हम paraphrasing कर रहे हैं और कुछ और linguistic variations करके AI को देते हैं टास्क. तो हम देखते हैं कि जो
गार्ड रेल्स अलग हैं.
एक अलग सवाल था उसका जवाब कुछ और निकल रहा है, और
सही.
उसकी मॉडल की आउटपुट्स पुअर होती जाती हैं.
हम्म.
And so like for example, when we look at AI based performance benchmarks, वो बताते हैं जी उसने इस USMLE में इतना स्कोर कर लिया, वो कर लिया. बट इज दैट एक्चुअल रीजनिंग और वाज दैट सम काइंड ऑफ लर्निंग जो AI ने किया था और उसको पुट आउट कर दिया था, which we researchers call as data leakage or contamination. So what we are doing now is my team, we are developing our own data sets. We don't put them up on the internet. We make our own questions, we make our own answers, and then we
ठीक
test
है.
the AI and see कि उसकी परफॉर्मेंस कैसी है. अभी अब इंशाल्लाह आपको एक रिसेंटली एक्सेप्टेड पेपर है वो मिलेगा IJ में, जिसमें हमने इसी तरह की कुछ टेक्निक्स यूज़ की हैं, और हमें ये पता लगा कि AI की परफॉर्मेंस वैसी नहीं है जैसी हम सोच रहे हैं.
Right. So I'm actually very excited to read that paper as well. Acha sir, what is one advice and what is one motivation you would offer to young clinicians to get more of their time invested in working towards AI diagnostic tools and contribution of AI in
I
healthcare?
think general advice दे सकता हूँ. General advice ये है कि don't be stuck in doing the same thing. Get off the beaten path and try to be a trailblazer in whatever you do.
Right. So basically put in maximum number of hours in whatever it is that you're doing.
It doesn't have to be maximum number of hours, but maximum number of effort.
Right. Acha,
And enjoy what you're doing.
Acha, when we were talking off camera a while ago, you mentioned that 80% of your life is clinical work, and then 5% is research, and the other 5% is your entrepreneurial work, etc. So where does time for personal engagements come from then?
हाँ, ये भी मुश्किल सवाल है. So you put me on the spot there.
Maybe your wife is watching and she'll say,
Yeah,
no,
you put me on
there's
the
no
spot
time.
there. So yeah, sometimes I'm physically there, but mentally I'm elsewhere, and I get that comment a lot, and she's in my ear. I try to be present more physically now. I'm not sure mentally, because I think personal life and home life is also very very important. हम एक ही दफ़ा हमें एक ही ज़िंदगी मिलेगी और इन्हीं लोगों के साथ मिलेगी और इन लोगों के लिए काम करते हैं.
Is she a doctor too?
No, she is a homemaker,
All right.
and I have two kids,
Oh,
and
mashallah.
yeah, they're grown up.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm sure your family is very supportive in everything that you do, considering that you get all the time to do these things in the first place. And I definitely agree with your advice that whatever it is that you do, you have to be very motivated towards it. And even if the excellence doesn't generate from maximum number of hours, it will generate from your motivation that outstands other people's motivation in your group. It was a wonderful time talking to you, Dr. Fahad. Thank you so much for this. It was a great conversation. I really wish we could have gotten into depths of a few more things. But this was just the first time, and we'll continue to have
Yeah.
you at our platform moving
Likewise,
forward.
thank you very much for having me, and I look forward to coming back.
We look forward to seeing you once Midentech definitely becomes the biggest platform of
Yeah.
Pakistan, offering what it does offer and becomes internationally recognized as well.
Thank you very much, Mariam.
Thank you. You're welcome,
Okay.
sir.
Allah
So
Hafiz.
this was our time with Dr. Fahad Omar. Thank you for watching, and we will have him again once Midentech actually becomes and gets the recognition that it truly deserves. Thank you.